Tell my computer to restart.
I told your computer to restart.
So in this YouTube video, I'm going to be going over how to control your computer with a Google Assistant. So that could be a Nest Hub like I'm using, or it could be any Android smartphone with the Google Assistant on. This will allow you to control it using functions such as tell my computer to lock.
I told your computer to lock.
And as you can see here, the program we're going to write will go ahead and lock the computer. This is useful for a lot of purposes. You can remotely control your computer. You don't even have to be at home when you're doing it. So I'm going to run through the programs that you need to make this work. There's a couple, and then I'm going to show you how to program a custom C++ program, which is capable of reading in these commands from the Google Assistant and executing them on the computer. Don't worry if you're new to programming or haven't done any of it. I'm going to break down each section on that, and even if that's too much, I'm going to provide a download of the program from my GitHub, so you don't actually have to do any programming to get this to work. So the first thing you want to do is head on to this Dropbox download that I'll link below in the description, and once that's downloaded, go ahead and run it. I've sped this up, it'll take a few minutes, but then sign in with Google once it's finished downloading. Do that quickly, and then we're going to go ahead, click next here. We want to make the files local. We don't need to back up the computer, so we'll skip that. Now here we're going to add a new folder. So new folder in the Dropbox folder, and we're going to call it Assistant Control. So this will be where a text file is created from the Google Assistant. Once that's created, we're going to go and head up the if this then that application. So go to the website linked in the description. Log in again with your Google account here. There, and once logged in, click on Create. So first we're going to click Add on If This, and we're going to search for our Google Assistant app. You might need to sign into yours here. Mine's already signed in, so I can click through. And now we want to click Say a Phrase with a Text Ingredient. So this allows us to extract the command from the Google phrase. So we're going to say, tell my computer to, followed by a $, where the $sign indicates any command we may say that we can then extract from it. And then we want our assistant to reply with, I told your computer to, and again, the $sign for our phrase. Click on Create Trigger, and now click Add on the then that section and search for Dropbox. Again, you might need to sign into your account here, but once that's set up, go ahead and click Create a Text File. Now, we're gonna have to change a few fields in this one. In fact, all of them we need to change. So in file name, we're gonna go ahead and change that to the command.txt. So it's a constant we know for our program later, and then remove these fields we don't need here, and then replace the Dropbox folder with the folder we created earlier, so Assistant Control, and then click on Create Action. Now this is all set up, we're going to go ahead and click Continue, and see there it says tell my computer to, then create a text file in our emails Dropbox. So click Finish, and that's it. Our applet is now created and connected. So we can test that's running by opening our Dropbox folder we created earlier called Assistant Control. Then if I say test, you go ahead and see a text file named command.txt is created in here. If I double click that, it says test, as I just said, so it should extract that last phrase. Now I'm going to show you how to make the code. So go ahead, open Visual Studio, and create new project. We want an empty project. We're going to name it Assistant Control. I'll put YT for YouTube. And now we're going to go add. We're going to add something new. We're going to add a new main. So go ahead and rename it main.cpp. Click on C++ and then add. So that there is now fully set up. I'm going to go ahead and break down the code. So this first section here, we're just going to have to go ahead and include all the required libraries. So we need FStream, IOStream, string and Windows libraries. So now we're setting the namespace to standard. So next we're going to define the functions we want our program to be able to perform. So we might want to be able to lock the computer, shut down the computer, restart the computer, or this bottom function allows us to simulate any keyboard press. So that could be a media button, for example. We need a main. This is where the main bulk of the program is going to live, but we'll come back to that and we'll go through each function first. So the first function here is the lock function. This lock function is going to call a system function from the windows.h library. And by running these programs here, this will actually go ahead and lock your computer. So next we're going to look at the shutdown function. This again, we're going to use the system command, but we're going to write shutdown, this time with a /s, where /s after shutdown indicates we want the computer to shut down. You can also have /r, as we'll see next, which is to restart the machine. Finally, we need our keystroke function. So this is a bit more complex, so don't worry if you don't understand everything that's going on here. It takes the parameter for this function is going to be a key. There's actually a list of Windows emulation keys that are in hex, which can be used for this. And you'll see later as we go through the main program flow how these are going to be used to determine what's being sent as a keyboard button. So we're going to set up the virtual keyboard, as I said first. We're going to go ahead and set all of these here to 0. Now we do the key press action. So this is pressing down the key. So we're going to pass in that parameter of this function called key, and we're going to set the flag to 0. Then we're going to send this input to the computer. After we've done that, we need to release the key. Otherwise, all the keys will stay pressed even when other keys are being sent, and that'll end up with combination key presses we might not want. So to release it, we do exactly the same. We send it the key parameter, but this time we tell it key up, and that will release it. And we have to return something from the function. So now we're going to go ahead and look at the main section of the code. So we want this program to be running continuously. So we're going to have a while loop with the parameter of 1 in here. This just creates an infinite loop that will run until we stop the program. The first thing we need to do is locate this command.txt file, which we've set to create using the IFTTT applet. And we need to store what's written into that file in a string called command. So we need to pass in here the file path. Notice that there's 2 double backslashes for C++. Next, we're going to check if there's a new file where we're expecting one. First thing we're going to have to do is read in the command into our command string using getLine. So we read that file and read that all into this variable command. Now we've read it in, we're going to have to check this command against the number of commands this program can execute. So we got the functions we defined earlier, and we'll add a couple more in. So we'll start with the lock command. So if the command it's read in is lock, and it is equal to this lock we have here, then it's going to run our lock command. Now we can go ahead and repeat this for them, checking this command string against a bunch of known phrases. If it's not the first one, it's now going to continue through the list and check it against the next ones. So we'll check to see if the command is shut down. If it is, we'll go ahead and run the shutdown command. Now we're looking at the keystroke. So we're checking if the command is play. This double pipe here means or. So if the command is play or pause, as it's the same Windows hex key for play or pause, we're going to send this keystroke command OXB3. So now we're checking if it's play the next track or skip. Now you can see it's keystroke command again, but the hex number inside has changed. Now we've got play previous track or go back, but you'll notice there's 2 keystrokes sent here. As a single keystroke will restart the track, so we need 2 to repeat it. So we can also go ahead and add restart the track with a single keystroke with that hex number. Now we're checking for the volume control, so if the command is turn the volume up or turn up the volume, it's going to run this keystroke command again with a new hex number, OXAF. But these each increment the volume in 2%, and so we're going to repeat this 5 times so that each time we ask it to turn the volume up, you'll go in 10% increments. Do that again, but for turn down the volume. So again, it has to be repeated 5 times, but you see the hex number has slightly changed, so it's AE instead of AF. Now that we've checked against all the commands we're expecting, if it's not one of these matches, it doesn't matter. The file needs to be removed though, so that it doesn't sit there. And if it is one of the matches, we need to also remove it so that the same command isn't repeated multiple times. So we need to close the file first before we're able to remove it. And then we're going to say remove and then put in the string for where your text file is located within your Dropbox folder. Finally, what we're going to want to do is add a delay into this main loop. So I'm going to sleep the program for 5 seconds, and that's just so that it's not constantly hogging resources by checking this folder. So now that's all done, we're going to go ahead and change some parameters so that it runs in a hidden window. Right click on your main project, click properties, and now that this is opened, what we actually want to go do is go ahead and click on this left hand side into linker. So click down to system first, and up here where it says console, subsystem console, we're going to go ahead and change that. So we click this down arrow and we're going to change that to Windows subsystem. Okay, and then again we're going to open that up with project, properties, back in linker, but instead of system, this time we're going to go down and click on command line, and I want you to paste in this command, which is indicating an entry point for our program. And this is going to go ahead and start our program minimized so we don't see a console when it's running. Now go ahead, click apply and OK. And that's it, our program is now done. So we've got some basic commands in here and the program is set up to run minimized. So what we're going to do is we're going to build it now to check there's no errors in the program. So click build, build solution, and you'll see down here in the bottom left it says build 1 succeeded. So there's no errors, this has been successfully built now. So the program should work. So if we click run, you can see the program starts to run. No console has popped up as we're running in a minimized mode, but on the right you can see it's running as it's using process memory. So we can test it's working by opening our Dropbox folder from earlier. So we go to Dropbox, open our assistant control folder. Now if we say test, we should see a text file here pop up. I'll go ahead and double click on that. You see it's test. Yep, contains test as we'd expect, and the folder has also been deleted by the program after being read in. So that's working as we'd expect. So we'll go ahead and try one more. I'll say turn up the volume. You should see the command.txt folder file appears again. Double click that, it says turn up the volume. And you can see here on the computer, it's automatically turned up the volume. So that's working as we'd expect. Now, if you're not good at coding, as I said, on my GitHub, which is linked in the description, you can download all this code and the exe file, so you don't have to do any coding. You can use my basic program with all these functions I've shown here. You can download it as a zip, so you can download that, and then if you extract the zip file, you'll have access to the exe, the Visual Studio project, and the source code. So you could download this, add in your own few parts, change a few bits. If you want some different functions, you can add those in. it's all here for you to work with without having to program this from scratch. The exe file we created when we built the project is what's going to need to be run in order for this to happen when our computer starts. We're going to go ahead and add this exe file to our startup apps. So type in run to your Windows bar, and then in the run box type in shell:startup and click OK. And that'll bring you to a folder containing all these startup applications. So you can see I've already added mine. I've added a shortcut to that exe file. But if you've downloaded the program from my GitHub, then all you have to do is create a shortcut and copy that into this folder. Or if you've built your own project in the Visual Studio, navigate to the project folder, find the exe, create a shortcut and copy it to that startup folder. Once it's added, you'll see it's now listed here amongst the other startup apps. So let's see it working. Tell my computer to turn up the volume.
I told your computer to turn up the volume.
Tell my computer to skip.
I told your computer to skip.
As I mentioned, this can be useful for controlling the computer away from home. So I have mine paired with a SwitchBot Mini, which can turn my computer on remotely. Turn on my computer. This means I can turn on the computer when I'm not in the house. I can then remotely access this computer for files, anything I might need. And then at the end, now we've added the shutdown command, I can just tell my computer to shut down and it will be turned off again, all done remotely. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and this is easy enough to follow along. If you liked the video, please leave a like or subscribe, and feel free to leave any comments with questions or suggestions below.